So you're a warehouse supervisor. You already know that just one tiny mistake in your records can create some pretty big problems, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to cover the key skills you need to keep those records perfect every single time.
You know, what really separates a good supervisor from a truly great one? A lot of the time, it's all about how you handle information. Seriously, getting your records right is one of the most important things you can do to make sure your warehouse runs like a well-oiled machine. So let's start with the big question. Why? Before we even get into how to keep good records, we really need to understand why it's so important. This is the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. Think of it like this. Accurate records are the foundation of your entire warehouse. And if that foundation has cracks in it, even little ones, the whole operation can start to feel shaky. Your job as a supervisor is to build and maintain a rock-solid foundation of information.
This really shows you the two different worlds you can live in. On the left, with accuracy, everything is smooth. It's easy to find stock, which means you get happy customers and fast shipping. But on the right, well, without accuracy, it's chaos. You've got lost stock, which leads straight to unhappy customers and really frustrating shipping delays. So the main thing to get here is that accuracy isn't just about having tidy records. It's about the success of the entire business.
Okay, so to manage records like a pro, you've got to speak the language. Let's go over some of the essential words, the tools, really, that you'll be using pretty much every single day on the job. First up, you'll hear WMS a lot. That's your warehouse management system. Just think of this as the digital brain of your warehouse. It's the main computer system that tracks every single item, from the second it comes in the door to the second it leaves. Next, we have the good old Excel sheet. You know, even with all the fancy systems out there, a lot of warehouses still use spreadsheets for certain jobs, or maybe for backups. So it's really important you feel comfortable using them. And then there's data entry. This is the human part of the job, actually typing the information, like the product codes and how many there are, into the computer. And honestly, this is where most mistakes can happen. Which brings us to probably the most important word for any supervisor: accuracy. It's simple. It just means being correct. No mistakes. Without accuracy, none of these other systems even matter. It has to be your #1 priority. Synchronize. Okay, this is a really important one, especially if you use more than one system. To synchronize just means you're making sure your WMS and your Excel sheet are telling the exact same story. If they don't match, you've got a problem. And finally, the report. This is your tool. As a supervisor, this is how you check everything. At the end of a shift, the system gives you a summary of everything that happened. This report is how you make sure all the work was done correctly. All right, so now we know the key terms. Let's see how they actually get used in a real situation. We're going to listen in on a pretty typical conversation you might hear between a supervisor and a worker in a warehouse. So it all starts when a worker finishes unloading a delivery. They come up and ask, "Supervisor, I finished unloading. Should I update the WMS?" This is great. This is exactly what you want your team to do. Always check in before they act. And the supervisor's response is perfect. Yes, record the quantities and storage locations. See how clear and specific that is? When you give instructions like that, there's no confusion, which really helps prevent mistakes. Then the worker asks a question I bet every new employee has. What if I make a mistake in the entry? It's a good question, and how the supervisor answers this is really important. And here it is, the core message from the supervisor. Double check before saving. Accuracy is key. This simple instruction is like the golden rule of data entry. Seriously, taking a few extra seconds to check your work can save you hours of fixing problems later on. Now, things get a little more complicated. Another worker chimes in, "Do we also update the Excel sheet?" This happens all the time, right? When information has to be put in 2 different places. The supervisor gives a clear command. Yes, synchronize both systems. It prevents errors later. I love this because they don't just say what to do, they explain why it's important. This really helps the team understand that this step isn't just extra work, it's crucial. And finally, the supervisor closes the loop. They say, "Good, I'll review the report at the end of the shift." This shows the team that their work will be checked, and it just reinforces how important it is to be accurate from the start. You know, that conversation was full of fantastic advice. So let's just boil it all down to 3 simple but really powerful rules for making sure your warehouse records are always accurate. These 3 rules are your keys to success. Number 1, Always double check. It catches those little mistakes before they become big problems. 2. Synchronize your systems. This makes sure everybody is looking at the same, correct information. And 3. Review that final report to confirm the job was done right. Simple as that.
So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. What is one thing, just one, that you will do during your very next shift to improve accuracy? Maybe it's just taking an extra 10 seconds to double-check an entry, or maybe it's creating a better process to synchronize systems. Just remember that these small changes lead to huge improvements. Master this stuff, and you are well on your way to becoming a truly great supervisor.